Yeah, we got to figure out some kind of a standardized opening, like have a lovely Moops Day, everybody, a magnificent Moops Day, and happy Halloween.
I don't even know what that means.
Exactly, Moops Day is a new day I'm adding because 7 was not enough.
So instead of Fun Day, we're getting Moops Day.
Exactly. You have Monday, then Moops Day, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Fun Day, and then Saturday, Sunday, and then Sunday, second Sunday. So
I hate this already.
We got 10 days in a row. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome to Total Pebble Knockdown, which is releasing on one of those 10 days in the week. My name is Nathan.
And I am Alex, one day of the week, probably.
And the other 9, who knows? Thank you for joining us on the show. And we are going to kick off with a weekly muse, as we oft do here on the show. Because, Alex, you want to tell them what we are musing about this week?
Sure, I found an article. I think you found one of your own as well, but we had done a section a while back about I think it was also a One More Thing, but it was about there being way too many launchers for games.
Yeah, looks like that's correcting itself a bit.
Yeah, so Bethesda's launcher will be shutting down come May. And the world rejoiced.
Yes, because apparently it wasn't very useful. People were not very happy with it. Now, of course, we know why Bethesda wanted to do that, because they don't really want to, shell out the 30% for Steam sales if they can avoid it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't going very well, and of course the first question that everybody has is, wait, if I actually did buy stuff on the Bethesda launcher, 1, why? But 2,
why did I do this?
Why did I do that? But also, if you did, am I going to lose my data? And the answer is no, because all of this is going to be getting transferred over to Steam. You can transfer it over, including your wallet and any of the stuff that you have bought. So I guess there's something.
There's something.
I guess. Friends lists also are going to go with you, so, some manual transfers are going to be required. But most save games will also transfer over to Steam. Interestingly enough, there is one exception to your save games transferring over to Steam.
Fallout 76.
No, we'll get into 76 in a second, though. That's a whole kettle of fish. No, Wolfenstein Youngblood. Don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. You never played Wolfenstein. Have you played any Wolfenstein games?
Not since they were fake 3D graphics.
Not since they were fake 3D graphics? Oh, yeah. Okay. You remember them when they were the sprites, the old ones.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you haven't played, like, the machine game ones from the modern day. Okay, I have.
No.
I've played those. They were good, and then Youngblood came along. I didn't mind it, but it wasn't the best. It wasn't the best. But anyway, so existing Bethesda.net accounts aren't going to go away from the PC Gamer article. They will continue to exist and be used to log into games and services that require it, like, speaking of which, Fallout 76. Which actually led me to a different article that was about 76, because people are probably wondering about that. They're saying that 76 is going to have all of your data and everything sent over, and people will be able to get it on Steam. And my thought is, yes, because everything else that they've said about that game has worked out perfectly.
Well, I mean, I don't see how that would be an issue itself, because it's not like they're taking the servers for 76 and migrating those servers to somewhere else or changing the data on them.
Yeah.
They're just kind of just like launching the game from Steam, so Steam needs to have access to those servers for that.
Sure.
I don't feel like it should be an issue. I don't really know much about server logistics, however.
Right. Well, the only thing that I would worry about is if they had any problems with crossplay, Because if it was like one platform to another platform and you were playing it on one, but I think that they pretty much built it as a cross. I would certainly hope they built it as a cross-platform in the first place. Yeah, 76. They are trying to allay any fears and say that everything that you've had will indeed transfer over. No word if you are a Fallout First subscriber if you have anything anyway. But that's a whole other issue. You will be able to continue to play Fallout 76 again.
If you are.
Well, yeah, the people that are. I keep thinking to myself, maybe, because I'm going back and playing a lot of games that I haven't picked up in many years. Maybe I'll go back and see 76 for a bit. It will be the third time I try jumping into the game, but I know that they've done a lot of updates.
Third time's a charm, Nathan.
Third time's a charm. Maybe eventually I'll be happy with it. I did it when it first came out. I did it after the Settlers expansion, the Wasteland Settlers, because I was like, oh, maybe there's actual game here now. and maybe I'll go into it again just to see. But I never had a particularly favorable impression of it. Everything saved on your characters, including your camp and shelters, will remain with those characters through the migration, is what they say in the FAQ. And current friends list will also migrate with you. So hopefully, assuming that everything works correctly, you'll still get to play Fallout 76?
Or if all things goes even better, the game will implode and you won't have to waste any more time on it.
And you can just go back to playing Fallout 4 with a billion mods.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
They have mods for multiplayer on that anyways, I think.
I bet they do. They probably
So, my guess here for the next launcher to kill itself. Can we say that?
The
next launcher to slowly die.
Yeah, to slowly die.
Hopefully Origin.
I don't really know how Origin is doing.
I don't know. The only thing I ever use Origin for is for The Sims, because I own them through Origin.
Well, the other reason I wonder about Origin is that EA also has EA Play. And it seems like that's what they're banking on. That's the one that's integrated into Xbox Game Pass anyway. So, like, I have Game Pass. EA Play is included in it. It just is. And I basically have access to an entire library of EA games, so I don't know why Origin exists.
I don't know. I think it's an older one. Do you remember Games for Windows Live?
Yeah, tell me about it.
That died pretty great.
Yeah. Oh, here's a fun one that I have to occasionally use is the Amazon Game Store. Have you
Oh,
ever...
jeez.
But that's only because the only reason I have that, in similar fashion to kind of like why we have Epic, is that if you go on to Twitch and you have like Twitch Prime, and the games, that a lot of times free games to claim are over on the Amazon. Sometimes they're on GOG, sometimes they're on the Amazon. Not that I'll ever play half of them, but, you know, I got them.
Free game's a free game.
Free game is a free game. A lot of them I don't know if I'll play, but who knows? One day I'll feel wacky and play one of the ones I never thought I'd pick up in.
They're gonna play another dating sim. Huzzah!
Yeah, those don't come up very often in the launchers for the free games. Missed
opportunity. That's because people want the bang for their buck. Or their bang for their bang. You're welcome.
In similar Bethesda news, right around the time that they announced the permanent dirt nap that Bethesda's launcher would be taking, that would be going to Steam, they also announced that there are some old free Bethesda games that are going to be available over on Steam. So I did check that out, which includes, and this probably doesn't surprise anyone because they practically give these away anyway, Elder Scrolls 1 and 2, so Arena and Daggerfall, and Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. That's an old one.
Didn't know that was a thing, but it's fine.
Yeah. I think if I'm looking at this correctly, Splash Damage was making note of it that it was their first game that is now finally available on Steam. And it's like Wolfenstein, but it was made to be like more of a multiplayer, I guess probably like a Call of Duty sort of thing.
Oh.
But
Okay.
Wolfenstein.
Okay.
But that's an oldie. They say after nearly 19 years.
Was there any news of Elder Scrolls 6?
There's, I mean, anything more than the nice screensaver that we've gotten this entire time. The only information that they seem to be giving out is mostly for Starfield, which they still insist is coming out at the end of this year, I believe.
Hey, you know what? Any year is still before Star Citizen.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it would be nice to see it out this year, but again, out. It's a Bethesda game. When is it going to not have, you know...
Yeah, out does not mean playable.
Yeah.
It means, hey, we've got a framework here and buy it.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen this before, and with Bethesda games themselves. But I mean, I'm glad to see that Starfield is not dead. But also the maybe the launcher is kind of part of this is that Bethesda really does need, at least Bethesda Game Studios, really do need like a solid win soon.
I think a lot of companies are in that boat right now.
Yeah.
But that is for a different time to talk about.
That is a different conversation altogether. But in the meantime, long and short, BethesdaNet, we pour one out for you.
No, we don't.
We pour a Nuka-Cola out for you.
No, that sounds radioactive.
It is. Wham bam
well.
alakazam.
Bethesda, just make better games and stop being dumb.
Make better games.
That's a hot take.
Yeah.
Or make games that, your games are fine when you
work on them.
Finish them.
Yeah. Bethesda, remember when you made like excellent titles and then you sold out for a bit? Let's not do that, please. Please. I mean, hey, look, they did say that like Starfield is supposed to be a single player focused experience. So hey, already looking good. I appreciate that. Okay, so up next on the show, we have Delving Deeper, because it is the closest thing we could think to categorize this in. But very exciting news is that Alex and Ray went to PAX East this year, surprisingly enough.
Surprise to me too.
Yeah.
So the reason that's a surprise is because we didn't really plan it that far ahead.
Yeah.
Turns out we had a concert in Boston on the Saturday that weekend, and we had planned this a couple months ago. Been like, all right, let's do that. So I took the weekend off, requested a couple days off from work or whatever. She requested a couple days off from work so we could just have a free weekend.
Sure.
Do whatever, have fun, whatever. So couple like 3 weeks ago now, I was like just randomly looking up what there was to do in Boston, and I was like, hey, PAX East. It's like, wait, when's PAX? And then I looked and went, oh shit, PAX is the weekend we're already in Boston. So I was like, hey, do you want to go to PAX on Sunday? Because all the 4-day and 2-day passes were like, Saturday was all sold out. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so she's like, yeah, okay, sounds fun. So we got tickets back. So we got a hotel in Boston. We went to the Museum of Science during the day on Saturday. Walked around for several hours. Then went to a concert and jammed for several hours.
Perfect.
And then Sunday we spent at PAX, which I've never been to before.
Oh.
And Ray's never been to before, and I don't think you've ever been either. So.
No. Although, before we move on, you should probably tell us who the concert was.
I don't think that's important for the segment of the show.
Oh, so the audience is just going to wonder forever.
They're going to wonder forever.
Okay. Unnamed.
Bling, ding, 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 ding. Just dueling banjos for 4 hours.
It was the dudes from Dueling Banjos. Okay, great.
Definitely.
All right. So yeah, PAX East. Never been.
So you have some preconceptions about it, I think, already, right?
Sure. I imagine.
I think we wanted to start this segment off really quick with a
I'm just gonna ask
uh
questions.
yeah, I think you wanted to ask me a couple questions that you
Okay.
can think of, and then I'll just tell you if it's true or false,
Okay, that sounds.
or something similar.
Yeah. Okay. So my first preconception about it is that are there a lot of furries?
I mean, the day we went, there weren't a lot of them,
There
but
was
there
a
were.
number.
There was a number. I saw at least 3 Hatsune Mikus. It's not a furry, by the way. That's just a Vocaloid thing
Okay.
that people cosplay as.
Yeah. I was going to then ask the follow-up question: are a lot of people in cosplay?
Yeah, there was a fair amount of people. Like, there were more people not in cosplay, obviously,
Mhm.
because that would be insane. But there was a good amount of people dressed up in cosplays of all sorts, even just like simple ones.
Okay. So the other thing I was kind of wondering about is it more focused on video games or on tabletop?
I want to say the bigger stuff is focused on video games.
Makes
Like, it has a lot of both. Obviously, it's got a lot of tabletop and a lot of space on one side of it for like free play
Mhm.
tabletop or tournaments or things like that. So there's a ton of tables and chairs set up for playing games.
Okay.
And there was stuff set up so you could like try a game. You could go grab a game from the shelf
Mhm.
of their selection, bring it to the table for free, and play it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
You know, so you could try out games for no cost, which is cool. If you planned on going, I think if you planned and wanted to go just to try out games like that and just fit in as many as you could, you could, but you would need to plan out your day, I think, around that.
Yeah.
But on the video game side, though, it was a lot of like bigger displays and like bigger companies. Obviously, they typically have a lot more money than the tabletop companies do. So like, Gearbox was there,
Cool.
you know, and they had this big, huge setup with tons of computers and systems, so you could play like either probably Tiny Tina's is what they had. They had people handing out stuff, and they had like a huge just display. Like, that was all like fancy.
Perfect.
What was the other one? Oh, Larian was there, and they were doing stuff for Baldur's Gate 3. And they had people that were, I think, working for them in full cosplay outfits, costumes of the characters. I think a whole setup there with like a castle and everything for their area. So the video games definitely had more space and was a lot more grandiose. Like the Intel side of it, like Intel had a giant section.
Oh yeah.
Where they were doing stuff. So
yeah. Now in like Boston Fig, the digital and the analog essentially were on 2 different levels. Was it all shared on one floor, or did they?
Yeah, it was all like the convention floor. It was like one side was video game and one side was tabletop.
Yeah.
But they had talks and stuff going out throughout it too.
Okay.
Because I know I mentioned it to you and you looked it up and saw some. Those were more, I think, on the second floor and further out, where they had like conference rooms and things like that.
Okay. Follow-up questions on Gearbox and Larian. So Gearbox, was Randy there, and did he pull out a deck of cards?
I do not know, and I do not know.
Perfect.
Also, no, man, it's fine. Good.
Okay. For a second, I was like, wait, is Randy behind me right now?
Randy's behind you right now.
I'm gonna put a picture of Randy Pitchford. Okay. And Larian, did Larian have any information about the official launch, essentially, of Baldur's Gate 3?
No idea. I didn't actually go into the booth or listen to anything. They had a lot of the video game side was demos. Okay. It was like indie studios and video games like, here, come and try our game. You know, all this
Sure.
stuff. Have a like take a 30-minute demo, 5-minute demo, whatever. So it's come and try the game, play it, stuff like that. Is
Okay.
what it seemed like.
All right.
I did not play any demos. We just kind of wandered around a lot.
Okay. In terms of like the actual tournament part, because I know that they do play some tournaments, is it mostly the structured tournament plays for like the tabletop side, or is it more like you were talking about with the is there a bigger focus on the individual tables where it's kind of play as you want?
I do not know because I don't think there were any tournaments going on Sunday. And if there were, I did not know. I didn't
Or
look
didn't
into
care.
it that hard. Yeah.
Speaking of which, on terms of activity there, I know that they were having quite a few panel discussions. Did you go to any of those?
No, that would have taken like signing up for it and scheduling. And
That's too much.
no, I met up with a friend of mine who goes like every year, who's gone for like the last 10 years, and he helps kind of us wander around. And
Oh, good.
they had a lot of food trucks though, so we got some delicious food.
Excellent. Excellent.
So one of the things is
Mhm.
on the tabletop side, because we kind of focus on that side a bit more, I think. It's a lot smaller, a lot more condensed, but there were booths, you know, most of that were, you know, the designers and the people working on their booths, depending on these. There was a lot of merch tables, but not just merch. So like video games, yeah, there was merch, controllers, glasses, all things like that. Tabletop, there were like several different places selling like dice and dice accessories and RPG accessories like that.
Perfect.
So I did get some stuff. I spent far too much at PAX, I think, in general.
That's what they want.
But I did get some stuff. Obviously, you keep the lanyard.
Oh, sure.
You know, it's for Intel.
Oh, it's Intel inside.
Intel, it's inside you.
Is there a
The
tracking
PAX
chip
East
in
market.
the thing?
You don't need to know about that.
Okay.
Somebody, I don't know what this is for. It's just a little keychain thing. It's a
Oh,
little cute
hey.
dragon thing. I think Ray got, same guy gave her a pin that's got a dog on it, so she loves it.
Perfect.
We got this thing. If you on Steam, there should be a free game that is you can do in VR if you have VR. I think it's called Cypher's game.
Oh, you got a memory stick?
Yeah, it's just USB for it.
Yeah.
But it's, I guess, Poland had made it. Like the Institute of National Remembrance has to do with like the Enigma code and everything like that. And it's 3D and virtual reality, like whole experience, like a history. It's not a game. It's a history game type deal.
Oh, neat.
I don't know if it has much gameplay in it itself, but it's like interactive history,
Okay.
which is really neat.
Mm,
I got a couple of these. You'll see these next time we play D&D.
cool.
But I picked up from Dungeon Dice had a booth there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can't remember where you got your dice from. It wasn't Dungeon Dice, was it?
No, I think it was D&D dice.
Okay. There was also like Level Up Dice and something else. There was a big one that had a giant booth with like 8 people working in it. So it was like set up kind of like glass counters in a square with the people in the middle.
Yeah.
That was intense, like super expensive dice.
Was like Kraken there?
Chessex was there. I don't know if Kraken Dice was there, but I got these cool coins.
Oh, wow.
These are full metal
D2s.
Dungeon Dice. Well, no.
No.
Yes, but no. These are, if you can see it, I know anyone
Oh,
on
are
the
those the
podcast.
spinner ones?
Nope, these are inspiration dice. Sorry, inspiration coins. It's just a token you can give a player when you give them inspiration, so they don't fucking forget they have inspiration for D&D. Or fate points or whatever like that.
You could
I
just
did
mark it down on your sheet, but
I did stop and see our long time of the old show and my personal long time Twitter friend, Jason Anarchy. Got to meet him finally. Made a joke about getting him some McRibs if I could have.
yeah, they're not
But we
available.
picked up his game. Your friend is sad.
Perfect.
He signed it. Of course, he signed it.
Nice.
And it says, "Never cheer up, sad face,"
Perfect.
and his signature.
Now, your friend is sad. That sounds
Yep.
like such an uplifting game.
I remembered seeing when he did this. He had a bunch of all of his games there. It was really great. But it was nice to be able to like meet him finally after like kind of being knowing him for like 5 years and having him on our show a couple times.
Sure.
Yeah. Sadly, we ordered T-shirts that would have said hi. I'm like I'm EXP Limited, and had like Total Pebble Knockdown on the back. So instead of that, I didn't wear that because it did not arrive in time. Happy noise. It was either wearing my Chuglock shirt from the first run of Drinking Quest and I was telling him, I'm like, I was thinking about wearing the Chuglock shirt just so you could be like, hey. And he's like, yeah, I haven't made T-shirts since then. He's like, wow, that's OG.
Yeah.
In lieu of that, I wore our TPK shirt because brand rep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Armor class 10 was there, I think. I think something else. So I talked to Jason. I also saw our other person we've talked to before, Breeze Gigas.
Breeze, yes.
From Aegis, which has another Kickstarter coming out soon. If you're looking for it, it's, I believe, Aegis Second Ignition. And he was telling me that one of the things that they added to that one that was much requested was a solo mode to play the game.
Oh, cool.
So you don't have to have a friend. You can just play with robots. Also, he suggested we have him on for a show where we talk about the top 10, top 20 big robot animes. So we'll have to get in touch with him about that. And I was like, I don't think Nathan really watches anime, so I don't know if he can add any. He's like, perfect, even better then.
Yeah, that's even great.
One thing I do want to show you I got, which I'm wearing because...
Gigantors is a thing.
Gigantors. So I got another shirt. I'm sorry on the podcast, you can't see this. But,
yeah. Oh, Dungeons and Dragons, and it looks like the Dunkin' Donuts.
This Dunkin' Donuts logoed shirt. Adventures run from
Adventures
dragons.
come from dragons.
Speaking of... So the fun thing with that one is they make the shirts there. They have a selection of shirts and a t-shirt press and all of the press... I forget what they're called.
Yeah.
And the things there. And they press your shirts for you.
Oh,
like
wow.
on the site.
Oh.
I got this one and Ray got one that was Settlers of Cat.
Oh.
It's a Catan box with a cat in it with the arm over the rest of Catan.
Oh,
so it's just Settlers of Cat.
Settlers of Cat. Perfect. Yep. Great. I should ask, since it's, RPGs and a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, was Wizards or anybody from Dungeons and Dragons there?
I don't think, did we see any, like, specifically D&D or Wizards of the Coast when we were there? I don't think we did. I assume they would have had a bigger, like, a big booth.
Oh, I would think it would be pretty prominent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I guess my friend that we met up with there was telling me that it was like 60% of what it usually is. Yeah. Because pandemic and all that stuff. Like, still had to wear a mask all the time, which is fine.
Right.
But yeah, he's like, yeah, he's like, usually all the space here is like taken up with whatever, and like there's all this extra space that is usually filled.
Sure.
So it's, I guess, a smaller year than it usually was still, which is, again, fine. But it's just really interesting. So a lot of it is demos.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, both sides there's places to play games, places to learn games, to try games for free. And to be fair, yes, a lot of it is trying to sell you stuff.
Sure.
As per an expo.
Yeah.
There were coats that my friend Tyler spent far too long trying on that were like $500 to $800 coats. I think they were Superhuman.
Oh, okay.
I think, is that the brands that, like, Critical Role guy
possibly
does?
Yeah.
Maybe they're like Ezio looking coats.
Oh,
stuff like that.
Cool.
I don't remember. But like some of the stuff definitely catered to like people with a lot of disposable money.
Yeah.
One of the other things he showed me too was, because he had been walking around since Thursday at PAX, You know, dice towers, how people love their dice towers and their dice
sure.
mats and all those things. Okay, well, they had people that had parts of those set up too, you know, showing off these nice, well-crafted wood and other dice towers. And there was a dice tower and tray set made of some kind of ebony wood.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice. It's very pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Guess how much the set of the tower and tray was?
Oh, probably about 2,000.
That's a bit more. I think you're just highballing it.
Yeah.
On purpose.
No, because I've seen some things that are like, if you were to get God, what are they, the magnesium or whatever, the big dice that are like the super heavy dice? Those are like 2,000.
Like titanium?
No, not titanium.
I wouldn't want to use magnesium for a dice because it would light on fire and stay on fire forever.
Okay, it's not the magnesium. What's the super heavy metal that's heavier than lead?
Gold.
No, it's not gold. But anyway, they make
Tungsten?
Tungsten. There you
Okay.
go. Tungsten steel. They have tungsten dice, like the D20s that are about this big, that are about 2,500.
No. Nobody needs that. Please stop. The dice tower and tray that I looked at was $900.
Okay.
You know,
Steel.
Literally,
You'll
you'd have to steal it.
Can I put it over my giant Ezio coat?
Yeah. The coats were cool looking. I don't think you'd ever have a reason to wear them. Unless you had a lot of like fancy dress stuff or just like out. I mean, they looked kind of like motorcycle jackets.
Sure.
Without the protection of being a motorcycle jacket.
You know what you could do is that if you're out in Salem, just wandering the streets, that's fine.
Sure. If you're cosplaying as an assassin.
I mean, just any day in Salem. I was in Salem, Mass one time just to like tour around in the day, and there was a dude that was out with like full leather, you know, the adventurer jacket with the sling and with like the elf ears on and the cape, and just he came up to me, to us, good morrow, and kept moving along. It's like, yep, typical day. Cool.
Typical day in Salem. One of the other things that I saw they had were the gaming tables. Yeah. Which are nice. They're really well made. They're nice. Really expensive. Mm-hmm. The one Tyler again that I was walking around with showed me was like, he's like, yeah, this one's like starts at $2,000. That one over there is $8,000. I'm like, yeah, I don't got room for that. And if I did have room for that, I'd probably just get a pool table and convert it because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So, you know, this one was has the top of it that you can take off in sections that have rubber gaskets. So if you spill anything on it on the table, it doesn't get underneath it.
Oh, sure.
And it has the section inset in the bottom underneath the top of it, where it's like felt lined or whatever, so you can use it to game on. You can have like cup holders that magnetically snap to the sides of it and all this fancy shit. The only thing more fancy than that are the like digital tabletops, which are, you know, I think something you want to talk about next.
Yeah.
So the segue here is very expensive gaming tables.
Very expensive gaming.
Yeah, no, it was fun. I don't know what I expected really when I went to PAX, but it was fun. We kind of were just aimless a lot of it, but it was enjoyable. Sure. We talked to a few people about games, got to look at a bunch of games and RPGs, and tried not to spend an inordinate amount of money while there. Right. You were just rambling through the convention. Considering I only came away with a game by Jason Anarchy. Yeah. I got one more game, but it was like a card game that they handed out for free. Oh, good. So I guess that counts. But, you know, considering I only came away with a shirt, a game, a couple tokens. It's not too bad. And whatever, I'd say I did pretty well. If I were to go again, I would probably try to figure out like what I wanted to do. You'd plan out your day. I'd plan out like I'd probably plan it out. Be like, all right, these are games that I'm interested, or studios I'm interested in seeing, like demoing the games. These are games I'm interested in playing or seeing or talks. But like as just an experience to go through, it's not bad. It's pretty decent.
the other thing is that you could do what we did when we went to Boston Fig and show them that we are actually press.
Yeah, but then you have to be impressive. Sorry,
So
I'll see
anyway,
myself out.
Yeah. So anyway, I know that PAX is for Penny Arcade. I'm not very familiar with Penny Arcade, so I don't know if you've ever seen the comics or anything.
Nope.
I'm going to guess though that the folks for Penny Arcade were there, or
I don't know.
no. I don't know.
Who fucking knows?
Who fucking knows? Who knows if Penny Arcade is actually at the Penny Arcade Expo? I'm gonna assume they were, but whatever. But that's good. Okay, so did you get to demo any of the video games?
Nope, didn't want to.
Okay.
I would have taken up just sitting there and like having me play a game while Ray sits there not playing a game.
Sure.
You know, for like a half hour. So.
Unless there were multiplayer ones or the co-op ones.
Yeah, but then
definitely.
you still have to be like right next to other people playing games.
Yeah. Who wants
That's
that?
not appealing.
No, that is not appealing. Unless it was.
But it was just like, all right, take a note of the games that I think are interesting and maybe wish list them on Steam.
Yeah, make a wish list. Keep
Yep.
an eye on them for the future. Okay.
My friend was taking just pictures of the games that he walked by, so he could be like, "Oh, that was interesting." Click, and then I'll save that for later.
That works okay.
Yeah.
In terms of scale, how many booths would you say were there?
Oh dear, a lot.
A ballpark's worth or half a ballpark's worth?
I'd probably say 1 to 200,
1 to 200.
maybe.
Okay.
I'm guessing. I'm throwing a very wide estimate out there. I do not know.
Okay. Well, I'm going to guess that if you had a weekend pass, you'd probably still have a pretty full slate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to do any tabletop like tournament or any talks or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. When we went to BFig, it was like the one day, so
Yeah.
you gotta like squeeze it all in real fast.
Mhm.
Even though there were probably about 100 people there. But okay, well that's good. Is it something that you would consider going to again and actually plan on it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Possibly, depending on the year and monetary situations and things like that.
Sure.
So.
Did you prefer PAX East to Boston Fig?
Yeah, I think I liked it more because I wasn't there trying to like interview people.
Oh, okay. Just from your
You know?
personal experience.
Yeah, it was just there having a good time, so it was a bit more
Well, that's good.
enjoyable and less stressful. Plus, I got to see a friend I haven't seen in a while. That was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. That's good. So, convention. Good.
Conventional,
Expo. Fun. You get things.
expositional.
It's expositional. Great. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed the exposition. And I am glad that you were willing to provide a lot of exposition here on the show.
I am glad I could provide the token of inspiration.
Moving
Not
on.
sponsored.
Moving on. That actually segues a little ways into our one more thing for the day, which is actually about holographic tabletop games. And this was actually something that you brought to my attention a little while ago, and sounds like you might have seen it a little more up close when you were at PAX.
Nope.
Well, okay, fine. That's right. You didn't really stop it again.
I didn't see any holographic stuff.
Oh,
there.
you didn't see that? It was just like the digital ones where you can lay things.
No, the gaming tables I saw were all for like tabletop.
Oh, they're actual tabletop. Well,
They're actually tables without screens.
okay. This one, however, is actually kind of like for tabletop, but it's like a holographic digital piece. That is what they refer to as the AR tabletop gaming platform Tilt 5, that announced a partnership with Asmodee Digital, which you probably know as the Asmodee Group from France, that they were going to develop a series of holographic tabletop games using augmented reality, not exactly, the VR, but AR. And the general look and feel of it is, imagine you actually have a game table, but then all of the elements of your game are kind of brought to life three-dimensionally through a holographic display while you're using, like, the goggles that...
Yeah, it's
show
that
through.
Pizak thing from Star Wars, I think, right?
Sure, yeah.
I don't remember if that's the name of it. It's the game that has the chessboard looking thing with the holographic figures on it looking thing.
Yeah, that's not Pizak, but
I don't fucking know.
yeah, but it is the one that Chewie insists on winning.
Yes, let the Wookiee win.
Yeah, you always let the Wookiee win at that, but it's similar to that, but like for realsies.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I guess the question we really had about it is, like, right now this is going to be relatively expensive technology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be cheap.
I mean, you've seen the holographic keyboards they have, right?
Oh, yeah. You put it on the goggles and it's just...
No.
No.
No. Holographic keyboards are the ones where they've got the little box that you put on your desk and it projects a keyboard onto your desk.
It projects the keyboard and you can
And then
touch
you can
it,
actually use, you can use it because of how your fingers interact with light.
Yeah, because your fingers interact with the light. Yeah, those are expensive. You can't buy
They're
them
neat.
cheaply.
I don't think they're necessarily better.
Yeah, I would doubt its effectiveness. But these, however, are going to be expensive for a little while because new technology usually is. But if we assume the way other technologies go, they will start to become more commonplace and therefore get a lot cheaper. The question I have is, do you think that this is the kind of direction that a lot of tabletop users, especially once they can start gaming closer to each other when we actually do convene more often, is this going to be a good option?
It depends on the type of game. For instance, a traditional board game, I don't think it would be a better option necessarily. But maybe for someone who wants to make a strategy game, like a war game, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that you have a holographic tabletop that you can have all the assets you need plugged into.
Sure.
So my army, I can just project on the tabletop and move it a lot easier than, say, picking up a miniature and moving each time. It'd be a different tactile experience, but perhaps it could be a really interesting way to make it long-term more affordable. Depends on if you have to buy the rights for the fucking armies, I guess, at that point.
Right.
But like, instead of having to have individual miniatures,
Sure. Yeah.
Or maybe do it like the Amiibo.
Okay.
What was the game? Sky Knights? Something like that?
Skylanders.
Thanks, that one.
Mm-hmm.
So where you scan the thingy and maybe you have a holographic tabletop where you actually have like sensors. So you put the one thing on the table and it'll spread out, the rest of the army or buildings around it. That could be neat.
Yeah, I can see that.
But like traditional tabletop, I don't necessarily think it would be better or more commonplace. And I think for RPGs it could be cool, but then you have a lot of how you get a specific dungeon's tile set or landscape into it yourself, unless it comes pre-programmed.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, is that if you're doing your home games and you're making up the world and you're doing the prep and you want to do that, it is going to be more work because you're probably going to have a design set almost like the CAD system, or I guess Roll20 in the more modern parlance.
Yeah, I don't see that as something more accessible because, sure, there are bunches of people who make their own maps.
Yeah.
For games.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one thing. Making your own map and having it rendered digitally?
Yeah.
Totally different.
What they would have to do is they would have to integrate, if we're talking like Dungeons and Dragons, we'll go to the campaign that we're doing for Icespire Peak. And when we went to like Nomengard and you get into the map, if like Wizards was able to provide a chip or something for like the digital pack, like the VR pack, that you could use in those for the campaign, and all of those locations are pre-rendered in, and it had like the light sources of where your people could see as they're going in. So like if our characters are like, you know, holographic representations, and we start off at the beginning of Nomengard, and you're trying to kind of like explain what the world is and what this cave system is, and we can only see whatever we can see in that world, and as we're able to move the characters in and show where we want to go, the map starts to reveal itself, and the fog of war comes in around where we aren't seeing.
I mean, that's not AR at that point. That's VR.
Yeah. Well.
That's like that's like
yeah.
if Wizards were to go, all right, we made just Nomengard in VR.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, that itself would be a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
Let alone all of the other locations.
Yeah.
Even in that one specific like campaign.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't need it to be like in first person where like I'm in my character and I'm going around. I was thinking more like Warcraft. You know how like your character will be in Warcraft and you'll illuminate new parts of the map and there'll be stuff behind it. Like imagine if your character was like the Arthas or whoever else you had in that map, and the map itself was rendered as like a holographic display for the table. So you could move your characters around that map at almost like they were playing pieces. And the map itself would reveal itself as your characters were going around that map.
Yeah, I think this type of thing would be better relegated to strategy games.
Yeah.
Than role-playing games.
Well, and that, but I'm thinking that because of that, the tactical aspect of when you get into combats, it would be incredibly useful.
Sure. I just don't think it would be like, I don't think it'd be super accessible for that.
No?
No, like I don't think that would help. I think it would be more cluttered then.
Oh yeah.
It's like, all right, well, now I have to pull up my character sheet and then tell it I want to do this thing. And then it has to do all the things.
Oh, I see what you're saying. When we actually have to... Well, you know what you'd have to do at that point is similar to the holographic keyboard. You'd have to have a thing where I could, like, tap my little guy on the head and his stat sheet comes up. And,
yeah, and that is infinitely more of a problem than doing, like, a strategy war game.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's so many more variables for an RPG than that, so...
It's true.
I know, I just think it'd be better for, like, that type of thing than, say, an RPG, because trying to specifically do, like, one terrain or one zone, as opposed to, like, a battlefield, they're totally different things.
I would think that it would be handy just for spacing purposes. Like
maybe, but
determining how far a thing is.
I mean, we can do that in tabletop just with graph paper, though.
You can. I'm just thinking that from an aspect of like trying to be there, it might be more, visually appealing to actually kind of get a framework of what the landscape looks like. That kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe, but then you've got, some people who would rather just imagine it. And then some people who look at that as like, all right, this table is now fact. And it's like,
And just, there happens to be an artifact and it's just a stop sign in the corner. You go, okay, that's pulling me out of my fantasy.
Yeah, it's one of those weird, I think it's one of those weird areas. Some people would get really into it, but I don't think most people would.
Right. I guess I was mostly just thinking if you could have like a holographic version of like those miniature pieces that they pull out for some campaigns, with like the individual figures for the bad guys, and you have the castle layout or the taverns that they're going in.
Sure. I actually saw some of those at PAX. As a throwback. I didn't even think of that, but I did see like some big tables with like full scenery, like miniature setup for like D&D with all their tile sets and whatever, and I was like, wow, this is gorgeous. I'm like, this is also unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like, would you want to set that up?
No, I wouldn't mind so much if there were tiles that were representative, like if there were boards, so that we had like a representation of like us on a board, but I don't really necessarily need the 3-dimensional
Yeah,
aspects of it.
these were like
It's a lot.
full on 3D models and really great looking, but it's like I don't have room to store this. I do not have. I'm only going to use this so many times.
Right.
Because like in that instance, it's like what do you buy like individual like tile sets? Do you like? I know
Sure.
for like Warhammer and stuff, it's like when you start building scenery, it's like all right, I've got a box of scenery, and then it's like I just rearrange it or the scenery on the table each time, or you just have like a board that is just that board and you do not change anything on it ever, and it is always just the same battlefield. It's one or the other.
Right.
You don't usually have interchangeable and sculpted like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's usually just set pieces. It looks really nice, but it's like, again, you have to store it, and you have to have enough times you want to use it. So like a cityscape, for instance, in D&D, if you had that in a real model, you'd have to be like, all right, here's a city, and it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to use these buildings every time then because I bought them and I want to get my money's worth out of them, or I built them. For the holographic one, at least then, potentially you'd get more variety in use of it, but I don't know. It's a weird area.
Yeah,
I think the tech would have to come a really long way to make it like usable and ideal.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if this is the kind of thing that gets lapped, because I would think that the next evolution of it might actually be VR, where you can actually step into your character in a world that's been, built in like 3 dimensions, and then you can just like have your stats for your character like an RPG, but built as it. And that doesn't seem like it's all that far off, and probably the thing a lot of players would be interested in doing to feel like they're more in the action. So I don't know. And also, that kind of thing is something that you could still do remotely with a crew and all have your, sort of like an MMO, but for your own game and your own tabletop experience. So it's probably, basically, it's not probably something that we're picking up.
No.
It's going to probably not be, but you know what? Hey, if anybody listening to this is thinking that they might want to pick it up, I'd be very interested to know. And if you want to leave a comment down below and tell me what you think the usefulness of this is, and if it's something that you would consider picking up. And also, the big question that I have for everybody out there is, what price would you feel you would be willing to pay for
$2.
$2. Okay. $2. Yeah, I guess
I'll get you 10 chicken McNuggets.
You'll get me 10 chicken McNuggets, which is $2.
I think they're like 4, but close enough.
Close enough. Okay, 5 chicken McNuggets.
Single chicken McNugget dropped on the floor twice.
Wouldn't it be amazing if our new form of currency was just all how many chicken McNuggets does it equate to?
Well, then McDonald's would be rich.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, you just how much is the house? 550 chicken McNuggets.
Doable.
550,000 chicken.
It's the barter system.
It's the barter system all over.
Just get someone that's hungry enough and
exactly.
offer to buy their house with chicken McNuggets.
It seems like a really good idea to have your entire barter system be on something that's perishable.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, are they perishable? It's McDonald's food.
That's true. Like the Taco Bell tacos, you can just leave them. Yeah, they'll be worth the same amount forever. Yeah,
exactly.
That's good. That's what you need for the holographic tables, is just like a virtual Taco Bell, and you have to bring people up to the taco. Yeah.
Great, I love it.
You use real tacos for your pieces, and they'll never go bad. It's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, that has done it for this episode of Total Pebble Knockdown, which is so full of pebbles that we can't even fit them on a holographic table. And
there's gonna be a meme right there. It needs to be the slapset of car. This episode's so full of pebbles you can't even fit it on a table.
Yeah, you can't fit it into a convention hall. And you know what? It might have been responsible for Bethesda Net going down. It just got full of rocks. The whole system got full of rocks. So that's what happened. So anyway, Total Pebble Knockdown, destroying everything in its wake with pebbles. But, Alex, if people would like to know where they could find more Total Destruction with Pebbles, where could they go?
Try Quarry.
Okay, we broadcast from there.
Yeah, we're quarrying our way down. You can go to totalpebbleknockdown.com where all of our content is currently sitting, waiting for you to explore.
That's absolutely right. And
Somebody needs to visit the website. Click on those things. No one else does.
And no holographic table is required. You know, we need to do a special where we actually do this in a quarry. We film an episode in a quarry.
Well, there's one up by you.
That's true. That's true. We just have to make sure that they're not blasting that day.
I don't think they use the quarry anymore, so.
No, not that one. Anyway, I'll also do my titanium mines there. That'll also be fun. So when you go there, you can also find our Patreon banner and click on that. We launch full video episodes of the show before the individual ones or even the podcast version even launch. So worth seeing, as well as some additional premium content, i.e. the crap that didn't make it into the regular show. And
our ridiculousness on full display.
Oh, that's right. It's like the behind the scenes, but it's behind the camera. It's all digital. Ooh, like a hologram. Ooh. If you ever wanted to see us in hologram form, too bad, not happening. But you know,
not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, that's a stretch goal for a Patreon, right? We'll make holographic versions of ourselves that you can put into your own games. That's great. And you can also find us on every podcast app known to mankind, including Anchor. And if you are over on Anchor, feel free to leave us a voice clip, because we may even discuss it on the show. And you can also find us on social media. I'm at Titanium.
I am at EXP Limited, and the show is over at Pebble Knockdown.
Pebble Knockdown, indeed. So, from all of us here at the Total Pebble Knockdown family...
I thought you were going to say Total Pebble Knockdown Studios. I was going to be like, I don't think that's the name of it.
Total Pebble Knockdown Studios. That's great.
I fancy Total Pebble Knockdown Productions.
Total Production Knockdown.
Kind of.
Perfect. Total Peb Production. Where instead of pre-production, you're in Peb Production. Because we're producing pebbles. Little pebbles of knowledge that we keep, of information that we keep throwing at you. Pinging you. Until whatever that was happens. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode. Goodbye for now.
Bye.